Hi guys, this is Oksana. I hope you're all doing great and are ready for my third photography lesson about ISO. Remember when we used to use film camera, and I still do sometimes, we would choose a different film with a different number. Like for example 100 film, 200 film or 400 film. And this is actually the ISO, this number is ISO, or film sensitivity to light. In the simple words, it's how much light the film is able to accept. And every time we wanted to change ISO, we had to change the film. In digital world, we have a big advantage, because if we want to change the sensor sensitivity in the digital camera, we can just change it by changing some settings in the camera. So this makes it much more easier than in film world. So let's talk in this lesson about ISO and the sensor of film sensitivity to light. Let's get started. ISO measures the sensitivity of the sensor of film to light. The smaller the ISO, the less sensitive to light sensor is, and the bigger the ISO, the more sensitive to light sensor or film is. Let me show you how to change your ISO. For different cameras it might be a little bit different, but for my camera I have a Nikon. The ISO button is right here. You will have to press the button and you will see the ISO on the screen. Then you will have to turn this dial. See? And ISO is changing. You can also change your ISO in your menu. When you go into your menu, you will have to go to the shooting mode. This mode was a little camera called shooting mode, and you will have your ISO. See, you go through the options and you have your ISO option right here. So you can change it to any number you want. This camera goes only up to 1600, and the lowest ISO is 200. So for some cameras it's 200, some cameras have 100, some cameras even have 50 ISO. These are the full stops of ISO. The less sensitive stops are the smaller numbers, and more sensitive stops are the bigger numbers. Since the bigger the ISO number, the more sensitive to light the sensor or the film is, the big number of ISO allows us to shoot in more darker conditions than the small one. Even though high ISO is very helpful in low light conditions, there is a downside to it. The images with a high ISO tends to be more grainy and less sharp, and the colors are not that rich and vibrant as the pictures shot on low ISO. So it is recommended to use as low ISO as possible in the certain situation, because the image quality will be much better with a lower ISO. Let's take a look at two images I took with my Nikon D70 camera. On your left, there is the image I took with ISO 200, and on your right I used ISO 1600. You can see almost any difference between those images, but let's try to enlarge them. Now you see the difference. The image on my right has like a little dots over it, like a little pixelation. That calls noise. Let's enlarge the images even more. Now you can see noise even more clear. This means that the bigger image you make, the more noticeable the noise is in the images shot with higher ISO. So if you just print in 4x6s, you might not even notice noise, but if you make a larger print, the noise might be more obvious. But not every camera performs the same at high ISO. The technology goes forward so fast that newer cameras perform so much better with high ISO than the old ones. Take a look at those two images. On your left there is an image I shot with my Nikon D70, which is pretty old camera, and on your right there is the image I shot with Nikon D7000, which is new camera. And these two images were shot at the same high ISO of 1600. Let's enlarge an images and see if we have any noise. As you can see, the image on your right is so much smoother, and the image on your left is noisy and pixelated. You can pretty much compare the quality of the image I shot with Nikon D7000 at ISO 1600 to the quality of the image was taken with old Nikon D70 at ISO 200. So as you can see, the different cameras perform differently at different ISO. Also, there are some great software out there which can help you in post-production to eliminate some noise from your images. Personally, I use Lightroom, and Lightroom 3 has a great noise reduction function, and I will show you how to use it in my future videos. Let's take a look in which situations we usually use low ISO and in which situations we use high ISO. Lower ISO should be used whenever possible. Usually you would use lower ISO for photography with a lot of available light. Let's say like photography outdoors, or photography with flash or strobe. In the studio, pretty much you always use low ISO. Also for photography with long exposures, when you use slow shutter speed and have your camera on the tripod. Let's take a look at some examples. This image was shot outdoors on the sunny day. Of course, I had plenty of light, so I could easily use ISO of 100 for better image quality. I took this image at Halloween parade, which was at night. Even if I didn't have too much available light, I used the flash on my camera. That's why I could use the low ISO of 100, because I added extra light with a light source like a flash. This image I took at night, having my camera on the tripod and using the long shutter speed. So I had my shutter open for about 3 seconds, so I let more light into the camera. That's why I could also use low ISO of 100. Let's take a look. When would we use the high ISO? High ISO we would use in low light situations when we can't use flash. Let's say you are in the church, or maybe you are at the concert or any sport event, or in the theater where flash is simply not allowed, or you don't want to use flash because you want to capture the ambient feeling of the place with the actual lighting without adding any extra light. And you can't use the tripod to support yourself, or you have a lot of moving subjects, and in those situations you would use higher ISO. Also, you would use higher ISO when you want to shoot something with a fast shutter speed, as I already said, if the subjects are moving, for example, like sport event or concert where the performers are moving. Also, some photographers like to use high ISO on purpose to add grain to the image, to get some feeling to the image, maybe some vintage feeling, because as you know, the film tends to have a grain, and they want to project that in the digital images, kind of make an image grainy on purpose. Let's take a look on some examples. This picture I took of my makeup artist Cynthia getting the model ready for a photo shoot. This picture was taken indoors, where there was not a lot of available light. As you can see in the corner, I'm holding the camera. And also, I didn't want to use the flash because I wanted to get the actual feeling of this light. See, the light comes from the makeup station and everything around is more dark, so the focus is on the makeup artist and the model. If I would use flash, everything would be bright and flashed. So that's why I used higher ISO to capture this image. This is another example of high ISO usage. This image was taken in the theater where there was not a lot of available light as well, and I couldn't use flash since the flash is disturbing to performers. So I used the higher ISO to capture the images in the theater. And this is example of the image where grain was added on purpose to get this feeling of the vintage image, because the film used to have more grain and as the digital has. But actually in this image I add even more grain in post-production, so you can actually see the grain in my video, because as you remember I showed in other images you can't really actually see the grain in such a small image. So I added grain in post-production to show you what I mean by adding extra grain to cause this interesting feeling or interesting look of the image. Let's summarize everything we learned today. We were talking about ISO, which is film or sensor sensitivity to light. The bigger the ISO number, the more sensitive to light is film or sensor. The disadvantage of bigger number is that you can get a grainy or noisy image. So you should always try to shoot at the lowest ISO possible. And my advice to you would be to double check your ISO before every shoot. And when you have a need to shoot on higher ISO, always put your ISO to the lowest possible after the shoot. Because I had a situation when I was shooting and I didn't notice that my ISO was at a higher number, and after the shoot I came home and I looked at my image in the bigger screen and my all images were grainy. That might be very disappointed. Of course you can, as I already told, fix it a little bit in post-production software, but still it's more work for you and maybe you will not get as good quality you might want to get. I hope this tutorial was helpful to you, and I see you next time where I summarize everything about aperture, shutter speed and ISO, and we will talk how those components work together to get a great picture. So see you next time!